Hey guys, this video is a showcase of some hidden synergies for the electric items Jacob's Ladder and 120V that many players might not know, as they are not obvious at all. But before I show you these synergies, which are all related to battery-themed items and trinkets, allow me to refresh your knowledge of the two items so that you don't miss any details. Jacob's Ladder causes all of your tiers to create a spark whenever they hit an enemy or obstacle. These sparks can then jump over to up to 4 nearby enemies in a spark chain. It is important to note that the same spark chain can never hit the same enemy more than once. This also includes the enemy that was struck by the initial tier that started it. You can see this very well when I hit one of the dummies in the middle. The spark chain will randomly go to the right or left and end at the outer dummy without jumping back. The lightning of the 120V item works similar in some regards, but not in all. It is triggered by staying close to an enemy and can struck them up to 5 times per second. Just like Jacob's Ladder, 120V will also create a chain spark that can hit up to 4 enemies. The difference is that it starts from Isaac instead of the enemy hit by a tier. The lightning chain follows the same rules as that of Jacob's Ladder. It cannot hit the same enemy twice and is limited in how it connects based on the distance between enemies. Speaking of range, you probably know that the sparks will only jump to a new enemy when it is close enough to the last one. Here you can see the default max range of the connection. This distance is the same for Jacob's Ladder and 120V and is not affected by Isaac's range stat, but spoilers ahead, there are ways to increase it, which I will show you. The last part I want to explain before jumping into the synergies is the actual damage of both items, because it is surprisingly not the same between the two of them. The sparks of Jacob's Ladder deal 50% of Isaac's damage, while those of 120V are a bit stronger at 75% of your damage, since you have to get close to trigger the chain. This obviously means that both items scale with your damage items and will get stronger throughout your run. However, there are actually other ways to make them hit harder, which I will show you now. And that's where we jump into the hidden spark synergies, starting with car battery and sharp plug, which both actually increase the damage of Jacob's Ladder and 120V alike. To be precise, each of these two items increases the damage of your electric chains by a whopping 50%. This means Jacob's Ladder will hit for 75% of your damage instead of just 50%. 120V already deals 75% of Isaac's damage by default. This means the sharp plug and car battery will raise it to 112.5% and thus make the sparks stronger than your actual tiers. Holding both items at the same time will increase the DPS boost to 100%. This means Jacob's Ladder will now hit for 100% and 120V will hit for 150% of your character's tier damage. The next set of hidden synergies revolves around the jump range of the sparks. The 9V item as well as the watch battery and hairpin trinkets can actually increase it. As you can see here, the sparks did not jump over to the next dummy when I initially attacked the first one. However, picking up 9V allows the spark to make the jump now. The watch battery and hairpin trinkets come with the same effect, and all 3 of them stack with each other to create a ridiculously high jump range for the sparks of Jacob's Ladder and 120V. Getting even one of these 3 objects can greatly help you to clear rooms that are crowded with lots of enemies, so try to remember these hidden interactions for your future runs. In case you're wondering, it seems like the golden versions of these 2 trinkets do not increase the jump distance of the spark any further, at least from what I saw in my testing. As you can see here, I need both trinkets for the spark to make the jump between the 2 dummies, no matter if I have the golden versions or the regular ones. Not surprising though, considering golden trinkets have been added very late in the development of Repentance. And while I am talking about the spark range, it is probably also worth to mention that it is greatly increased while you fight in a room that has any form of fluid on the ground. The floors where this is the case most commonly are downpour, dross and flooded caves, but it also works in the scarred womb rooms that are filled with blood. And if you are not on a floor that usually has water on the ground, you can make it yourself by using the flush item, one of the most niche synergies you will ever see in the game. 5 synergies done, but there are still 4 more to come. If you enjoyed the video so far, then please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Your support means a lot and keeps me motivated. Anyway, back to the hidden synergies. Next up in line are the battery and the jumper cable items, as well as the AAA battery trinket, which all affect the number of jumps a spark can do. Remember, the sparks created by Jacob's ladder and 120V can usually only jump to a maximum of 4 enemies. However, picking up the jumper cables increases that number by 2. The battery has the same effect, adding another 2 jumps to your chain for a total of 8 enemies if you hold both items at the same time. Keep in mind that they only stack with each other and not themselves. The AAA battery trinket synergy is a bit weaker as it adds only 1 additional jump to the chain. However, it also stacks with the other 2 for a total of 9 foes in your spark chain. And sadly, just like with the last trinket synergy, the golden version of AAA battery also doesn't seem to have any added effect when it comes to the chain spark synergies. The last hidden synergy for Jacob's ladder and 120V comes with the old capacitor trinket. Remember, I told you that the spark chain can never hit the same enemy twice. The trinket will remove that rule and allow your chains to strike the same enemies multiple times by going back and forth between them until the full amount of jumps is exhausted. As you can see here, the chain will even hit the enemy that was initially hit by your Jacob's ladder tier, which is usually impossible. This is arguably the strongest of all the synergies in this video. This synergy is especially powerful when you fight just 2 enemies, since it will keep jumping back and forth and hit the initial foe twice instead of 0 times for a big amount of free DPS. However, keep in mind that you still need at least 2 enemies for a chain to be started. Even with the old capacitor, hitting a single foe will not cause it to get multi-sparked with this. As you can probably imagine, the old capacitor synergy will get especially powerful when you combine it with all the other synergies that add additional jumps to your spark chains. Just a single Jacob's ladder tier will completely obliterate 2 targets that are close to each other, and the DPS output of the 120V item will jump to ridiculous heights as well. Let's round up the video by showing you all hidden Jacob's ladder and 120V synergies combined in various situations. I hope I could help you with this video for your future runs.
He's the #1
Isaac!
God's favorite son. His flowing robes reach down from